You're listening to Both Down, the number one Blood Bowl podcast in the world.
Welcome to episode 168 of Both Down, the number one Blood Bowl podcast.
From sunny San Diego.
You're in San Diego?
No, I was. I'm not now.
He is Kilowoggy Steve Campbell, and I am just Scott Prime. I don't
The Ginger Badger. We should bring
the
that
Ginger
back.
Badger, Scott Prime. Yeah, we need to bring that back.
It's been a while.
I mean, you're also the old dirty ginger.
Yeah, that's true.
You're still in my phone that way.
As I should be.
I can't remember who recently I was like, go check that message. And they were like, I can't find Steve in here at all. And I was like, oh, it's under old dirty ginger. And they're like, oh, why didn't you tell me that? I was like, I forgot.
Because everybody knows.
Pump is in my phone as Los Chuck. We have a friend named Brian Pumphrey who we all call Pump. And for some reason, I put him in my phone as Los Chuck. And it's just stuck for
I don't think I have anyone as a nickname in my contacts.
The funny thing is like, I've never called him Los Chuck before ever in my life until I put him in my phone that way. And that was just like a funny thing. So,
No,
anyways,
I'm anal. Like,
oh, we know.
Even Dad is like in here as Lee. No, I changed him to Dad recently because of emergency contact reasons.
Okay, there you go.
Because that way people are like, oh, this guy's dead. Let's use his thumb to access this phone. Who do we call? Oh, this guy says Dad. Let's do that.
That's a good idea. You plan on dying soon on me?
I don't plan on it, but you never know. Doing a lot of traveling. Things happen.
Okay. You are traveling a lot, so you might wake up in the bathtub with a sore back or something and no kidneys.
I don't plan on going to P. Diddy's house.
Oh. Well, I mean, you'd probably like it there.
Okay. Moving on to the next subject.
San Diego. So how was San Diego?
It was a lot of fun. It's a beautiful area. It was warmer than I was hoping, but that's fine. I got to see some cool things. Moon, one of our fans from a long time, and he's come out to Oklahoma, was nice enough to put me up. So saved me a lot of hassle and heartache and money. So
that's good. Yeah, San Diego's a nice area from what I remember when I visited it. Now 26.
I really wanted to go to
24 years ago.
The baseball game, kind of, because the White Sox lost their 120th that day.
Oh man, you should have. The San Diego Stadium is beautiful.
Yeah,
and the food there. I ate so much food when I was there. It was ridiculous because I wanted to just try everything. It's like, oh, I got to try the clam chowder bread bowl. Oh, I got that. Got to try this. Got to try that.
A little different than the Texas Stadium where you tried everything and everything was horrible.
Yes. Everything at the Texas Stadium for real was horrible.
That was the old stadium. Just put that out there.
The San Diego Stadium?
No, the Texas.
Oh, the Texas.
One. Yeah.
That's true.
We were there for the last year of the old stadium.
That's fair. The San Diego Stadium, when I was there 24 years ago or whatever, it was good food. So
since the last podcast.
You know what? It shows you my age. I am wrong. I've never been to a game at San Diego. I went to the San Francisco ballpark. I'm sorry. I got my trips mixed up. I've been to San Diego a couple times for San Diego Comic-Con. I was out on a business trip still probably 20 years ago at San Francisco for a conference, and I walked down to the game. So I'm very sorry. I'm showing the age of 50 at times.
Interestingly enough, we went to Balboa Park to look at some museums and stuff, and they had a Comic-Con museum. Don't go. It doesn't have any history of the Comic-Con itself. Has like one person's collection of some costumes they made for a cosplay thing. A little bit of the history of comics and a little bit of action figures, but it needed a lot more. It did have some cool stuff about Betty Boop and Chuck Jones, so that was neat to see. Some original art, but I wouldn't say that was Comic-Con related, so I don't know.
There was one in San Francisco too. There was some type of comic book museum or something. I would say go, but it was not what my imagination thought it would be. So I built it up maybe too much at the
Yeah.
time. But there was cool comic pages and stuff like that.
This didn't even have that. This had like some comics. Like it didn't even have anything old. It had some
Hmm.
comics around the world, so that was kind of neat to see.
No, when I was there, they at the one in San Francisco, they showcased like the guy who did Alley Oop, that
Yeah.
that comic strip and stuff like that. And there was original pages in there of other stuff. And it just I thought it was gonna be, I don't know why, like really big.
Hmm.
And it was still cool to see though, and it was worth the price. So
Oh, speaking of comic books, I pulled a Grail. You know this because I freaked out and contacted everybody I knew, but I found a box of comic books on Facebook Marketplace, and it was this old couple who were wanting to move, and it was a lot of 70s and early 80s, like Turok and, coverless comics and war comics, nothing amazing. But it was a big box, so I was like, I'll go ahead and just take a risk. And lo and behold, found Hulk 181, first appearance of Wolverine. Technically
and
180 and 181, but first and
yeah.
second appearance. So that was amazing.
Yeah, I must admit, going by what you saw in your ad, I wouldn't have paid $50 for that. So you won this one. You just never should do this again, because otherwise, if those
Well,
weren't in there, you would be complaining
no,
about how they ripped you off.
not at all. No, they had old Turoks with the interesting covers, and there was. I knew there was value there, just as a collector and readability thing. It's cool to have old 70s and some old Superman. One of the comics I could see was like the first Mike Grell art on Green Arrow. So I thought that was kind of neat. There was no other real Grails in the box, just happened to be those two. Not in amazing condition, but I'm going to get them pressed and then slabbed. And
And then he's going to sell them for less than stellar Green Lantern comics instead of keeping this like I think you should. But
no,
it's yours.
I'm probably going to trade it for a Showcase 22, also slabbed, and just basically improve what I got. Be a lateral move value wise, possibly even better because Marvel's more collectible than DC, but I'd rather have the Showcase 22.
Okay. Do what you do, you, my friend.
We shall see.
Other than that, I know we both played some Blood Bowl. You went to
Yeah.
San Diego for that, and I
Yep.
went to Lubbock, Texas, but we'll talk about that later in the episode. I guess the most important thing, and we're talking about you finding comic books and bad museums and all these things when everybody's like, tell us about
Get to
Chaos
the
Dwarves,
dwarves.
damn it. Tell us about Chaos Dwarves. So we're going to talk about Chaos Dwarves. We're going to talk about Matador Melee V, and then we're going to talk about the SoCal Scramble in our segments today. And yep, we're going to go take a break, go right to Chaos Dwarves.
You're listening to Both Down, the #1 Blood Bowl podcast in the world.
Both Down is brought to you by Wizard Asylum in Norman, Oklahoma, and BigDealSwag.com. If you're in Norman, Oklahoma, check out Wizard Asylum for all your board game needs. If you're looking for tournament swag, go to BigDealSwag.com. We are indeed back with the thing that everybody wants to know, the newly released, or ready for pre-order, I guess, to be released in a couple weeks, Chaos Dwarves, which we called, pretty much.
You did.
Yeah.
All the clues were there, so you followed that up, and it made the most sense. That was a very logical guess, and I'm happy that we finally have another team of legend marked off the list.
Absolutely.
Again, I'll say it again. There's only 2 legend teams left. Just remove them off the list until GW makes them.
Yep.
That's just remove them.
Hopefully in November. But
because what we're about to talk about, there's significant changes 2 Chaos Dwarves, just like I told you would happen when they get made. And they went a route I didn't think about,
No,
but I also don't know if they're any worse than they were before.
no,
And
they
they were a good team before. So we can talk about that as we go.
yeah. I was gonna say this. They changed it a lot more than I expected. I honestly thought we'd keep the same positions and they would just get rid of block and turn it into armbar or something. Not armbar,
Okay.
but brawler, something else. But I did not expect 2 new positions. I don't know that anyone would have.
No, I agree. Especially, I mean, we'll talk about it as we go through it. But
Yeah, where
let's
do we
just
want to
start with
start?
the. We're gonna start with the spike. Is that our idea here?
Yeah, we can start with that.
The cover art has a little, dwarf with little horns, which I thought was interesting
Hmm.
to make them evil little dwarves.
I mean, they
So
can mutate, so they can
no,
take
I
forms.
know, but part of me, I love the idea of the little horns, but at the same time, part of me is like, okay, like, could we have maybe had a positional with horns? I don't know. I'm not
You,
saying that's a right answer.
I mean, we
And
have a
this is,
Minotaur and Bull Centaurs, so
I know we do. Um, I didn't realize it until, and we'll talk about this later, but I didn't pay attention to the models that much
yeah,
until I was building the models and I noticed some of them had horns.
makes sense.
So as their head. And last night I was kind of excited actually. I was like, that's really cool. I didn't realize that and everything. So it looks like they're playing heavy off this volcanic theme of lava and fire and all that stuff, which is good. They need a good solid theme that's feels different than the dwarves, and
Hmm.
they always kind of had that. But I think in my mind, a lot of times it gets forgotten.
Yeah,
So we got the cover with the guy breathing fire on the cover. Then we have the next page with all the models and team or the names for the players that they have. I like the models, at least from the pictures that I've seen, and built a I built one of the fire, whatever they're called, flamesmiths, because I couldn't see his head in any of the pictures that they sent out. I thought they actually did a pretty bad job of making it clear to at least me in my old man eyes.
no, it's
What?
not an easy one to take a photo of because he's got the head leaning back and the potion going in his mouth. It looks good in person, but yeah, when you're taking a photo of it and trying to keep it on the same level, not as easy.
Yeah, and I think that's where I was just having my problems of just viewing it. Like, I was like, what is he really doing before I say, like, this is awesome or not awesome?
Hmm.
Anyways, shows the pictures, has the introduction. Now, once again, I'm going to tell everybody I do not like reading a whole bunch of stuff on a digital file.
Yeah,
GW once again sent us a digital file ahead of time, which I'm very thankful for.
absolutely.
And I get it because if Steve shared this, you would see his name plastered everywhere. So if he sent this to somebody 3 weeks ago and they posted it on the internet, Steve's never getting one of these again.
Hmm.
He's just not.
So I probably shouldn't do that then.
Right. If you put this up
Okay.
on the dark web, Steve, with all your other weird things, then not a good idea.
Dang.
Um, I do wish they would send us a physical copy, but at the same time, we both have a chance to read this and look over it digitally. So it's not an awful thing. So um, I get it. Trying to keep their IP, private and keep from. I'm sure somebody leaked just too many images, and
Of course
they
they
said
did. Yeah.
enough of this crap. Um, I don't. You're gonna have to interject on like what if there's something good here or not as we read this. I'm looking at page 3 in the book. It starts going over positions.
I mean, it's your
Uh,
basic spike. There's everyone knows the formatting at this point. It goes over the positions and we get the layout of the team. And that's really what we should probably look at first. The hobgoblins, they don't change at all. Still 6'3", 3 plus, 4 plus, 8 plus, no skills. General for primary, and then agility and strength for secondary, no passing. Which is interesting because we'll get to that in a second.
mhm.
Um, new position 1, 0 to 2 hobgoblin sneaky stabbers, 70k, 6'3", 3 plus, 5+ for passing, 8+, and then shadowing and stab. Same primary and secondary, general, and then agility and strength. We'll just go ahead and go through all this, and then we'll talk about the individuals.
Sure.
We got our 0 to 4 now. Chaos Dwarf blockers, 70k, 4, 3, 4+, 6+, 10+. Block, Ironhard Skin, and Thick Skull. So they've lost the tackle. Primary is general and strength. Secondary is agility and mutation. Second new position, 0 to 2, Chaos Dwarf Flamesmith, 80k, 5 movement, 3, 4+, 6+, 10+. Brawler, Breathe Fire, Disturbing Presence, and Thick Skull. Same primary and secondary. Bull Centaur, Blitzer, 130, 0 to 2. 6, 4, 4+, 6+, 10+. Sprint, Sure Feet, Thick Skull, same primary and secondary. Then a Minotaur, 150, 5, 5, 4+, no passing, 9+. Frenzy, Horns, Loner, 4+, Mighty Blow 1, Thick Skull, Unchanneled Fury, Strength on primary, Agility, General, Mutation on secondary, 70k for rerolls. Special rules, Badlands, Brawl, and Favorite of Hashut. Apothecary, yes. Tier 1. We have a team with no passing access.
None.
At all. Is that
I found that interesting myself.
Is that a first?
It probably isn't.
Is it not?
Well, I don't have my other stats up to kind of look around, but I mean, I keep thinking like it's possible necro, but I think they do get that with
the ghouls, I thought.
The ghouls, yeah.
Yeah, so I think this is our first team to actually have no passing access, period. Which, no leader for you.
I mean, yeah, because even Lizard Man teams can get passing on doubles.
Yeah.
So yes, right off the bat, I would say yes. There's no passing access, but I'm not 100% sure before I act like I know exactly what I'm talking about. Took away tackle, Ironhard Skin. And it was just a recent article that reminded me, and I knew this, but I forgot about it. But it reminded me the old fluff about Chaos Dwarves is they use so much magic that it slowly turns them into stone.
Right.
Fluff wise. And I totally forgot all about that. I did like the change. And then once I read the part about, oh yeah, they slowly turning to stone. I really love that fluff.
So
really,
we do have the skill here with the update. And I know the article came out and kind of went into it. However, I think it's pretty clear they just didn't lay out all the specifications. The new wording is opposing players cannot modify any armor rolls made against this player. In addition, the claws skill cannot be used when making an armor roll against this player. So,
the way I understand that too is if I go up and I kick you,
yeah,
and if I had 2 assists, they don't really help.
Right. And we may have to look into the wording of stuff, but I mean, it seems pretty clear. The only way you're going to break their armor is rolling a natural 11, period.
10.
And that's huge because now, especially in a tournament, okay. But in a league, you've got linemen that will never die.
Well, I mean, 10 plus is not that hard, but it is really rare.
Yeah.
So,
and to knock him down first,
Well, I mean, that's the big thing.
But it is a big difference going from 6 with tackle to 4 with no tackle.
No, it is. So on the surface, I thought this team is worse. And it still might be a little bit worse than the old team.
It's definitely more dynamic, though.
It is a little bit more dynamic and makes you really think on some stuff. Let's talk about first the Hobgoblin Sneaky Stabba.
Yeah.
shadowing and stab. While I think fluff-wise this is amazing, I think in hindsight, I don't think anybody's going to take one of these
The problem
unless
is,
they just have 30K sitting there and they're like, I
Yeah.
don't want to put that in my fans. I'll put it on this guy.
that's 100% the issue, is their 30K extra. For that, yeah, you get shadowing and stab. You also get an additional one higher on passing ability. I don't know if
Yeah,
they needed that.
it's harder to pass. I
Yeah.
mean, if you told me these guys had general and maybe agility access, I'd go, oh, okay, maybe
Yeah,
that's
or if
worth
they
it.
were
But
the ones who had passing access for some stupid reason. I don't know. But yeah, for 30K, just to get. Is shadowing really going to come into play? It might. Stab? Maybe. But I don't know. I don't see their effectiveness.
I tried to like look at Chaos Cup rosters if you took the Chaos Dwarves, and every time I decided it wasn't worth to take one of those, even one of those sneaky stabba guys. Again, I like the fluff behind it. Somebody's going to use one and tell me how amazing they are, but like right now, they're not that amazing. Now, I also thought maybe they're catering to some different formats like Gutter Bowl, where you can only take one of each positional type deal.
Oh,
So they
yeah.
gave these guys some options with something different, or sevens even. You could
Or
take some
dungeon
different
bowls.
positions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
fair.
again, fluff wise, I do like the idea behind it. I just don't know if we're going to see a lot of sneaky stabbers on the field.
No. Now, the Flamesmiths, they are 10K more. You trade out Block for Brawler, which isn't horrible. You still have Thick Skull, but instead of the Ironhard Skin, now you have Disturbing Presence, which is okay, and Breathe Fire, which let's go ahead and read that one real quick.
So hold on.
Yeah.
You also get one additional movement. These
That
are
is
5
true.
movement guys now.
Yeah.
And remember, Disturbing Presence works even when you are prone on the ground from
Mhm.
3 squares away. So it is a kind of a pretty big deal. Go ahead and read the other thing, though, because I
Yeah.
think this is a bigger deal.
Once per activation, instead of performing a block action, either on its own or as part of a blitz action, this player may perform a Breathe Fire special action. When a player makes a Breathe Fire special action, they may choose one standing opposition player they are marking and roll a d6, applying a -1 modifier if the target has a strength of 5 or higher. On a 1, the player gets overeager, engulfing themselves in flame, and is immediately knocked down. On a 2 to 3, the opposition player ducks the gout of flame and nothing happens. On a 4+, the opposition player takes a ball of fire straight to the face and is immediately placed prone. However, if the roll is a natural 6, the potent pyro has taken its toll and the opposition player is knocked down. After the Breathe Fire special action has been resolved, this player's activation immediately ends. So, 1 out of 6 chance you're taking them completely down or taking yourself down, and that'd be a turnover. Whereas, like, Vomit, not a turnover. You just place yourself prone.
So here's the scenario I propose that in some ways, potentially, this could be better for Chaos Dwarves. It's not going to happen because most good coaches protect the ball carrier. But let's say you get in a situation where you can get one of these guys to go tackle Griff Oberwald.
Mm-hmm.
He's 4 strength. These guys are 3 strength. It's either 2 dice uphill or run over there and breathe fire. You at least have a 50-50 shot of knocking Griff down and the ball pop loose.
Yep.
Which is way better than throwing those dice on Griff.
Or any ball carrier that has guard pieces around them or just people standing next to them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we haven't even talked about all the guard pieces. Like, oh, whoa, with guard, you got there, I got 5+. Or I can just take a 50-50 shot. Sure, you're just placed prone. You don't get to roll the armor on the guy, but he's still tackled.
Yeah.
So I find that very interesting. I just don't know. I feel like everybody's gonna be smart enough to base these guys to force them to dodge so that situation doesn't come up.
Or
But
you just
man,
breathe fire on the guy right in front of you, which is also nice.
well, yeah, I mean, even you place this guy next to an Ulf runner and you take the chance. I mean,
I just dislike the fact that the one knocks you down. I'd be okay if it was placing you prone and you fall down. Great. Whatever. But knockdown is a turnover. So if you do it and fail, well, you're screwed. No
yeah, but
loner,
I
at least.
feel like the other side of it is pretty powerful as well.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So, very situational, but at least a cool themey ability for the new Chaos Force.
Yeah.
I still, until I'm proven otherwise, if I was a Chaos Dwarf coach that plays them all the time, I would think this is a little bit less than what you normally have.
Yeah, it's a worse team. It's more dynamic, but especially against going up against Amazons or any stunty team, you've lost all that tackle. That's a huge difference.
Mm-hmm, for
And
sure.
only having 4 dedicated blockers when before you had 6 and you could really control the space and everything.
Yeah, I think it's less for sure.
But
Um,
I'm okay with that because they could be taken down a peg and they're more fun, they're more interesting.
I mean, we knew this was coming, right?
No, well, this is the first time they've really gone backwards on a team.
I mean, we knew they were going to be different, is what I mean.
Yeah.
They were going to do something different to set them apart from just being we're evil dwarves.
And at least it's
Let's
not
make them.
power creep, you know. This is not a stronger team that they made just to sell new product.
That's true.
Now they do
Uh,
have access to 18 star players.
yeah, that's because like what is it? The undivided chaos. You can get a. There's so many star players that fall underneath that
Oh,
chaos undivided. It's
no, they don't
ridiculous.
have that. They have Badlands Brawl and Favorite of Hashut.
Oh, is that okay?
Yeah.
Obviously, I got my stuff mixed up. Which
And
one is that?
before anyone gets
Badlands Brawl.
excited,
Is that the one?
I think so. Before
Okay.
anyone gets excited, the Favorite of Hashut is just flavor text. Um, there's been Zench and Slanesh mentioned in previous rule books. Doesn't mean a new team's coming, but
Yeah,
it's
sure it does.
possible. I'm sure
Dude,
eventually we'll get. I mean, they have to keep outputting teams, so eventually we'll get those teams.
maybe we'll
At what
see.
point do they stop?
I don't know.
I mean, it
I
doesn't make
really
sense
don't.
to stop, but do we
Um,
really want 50 teams?
what I fear is that some teams, and I'm basing this only on like kill team, where we're going kill team
Yeah.
with teams only being active for like 4 years before they get retired, and then new teams come in. I mean, what's to say like if they go that same model that like humans get retired, but now you have um
Oh, new human team.
empire humans, and they're kind of like humans,
Mm.
except they have 2 guys that have jump up, or something like that. So they come out with new models, and if you liked humans before and you want to play something similar, you play empire humans now because the other one retired out. I don't know.
I mean, it's possible.
It actually is possible. I mean, again, kill team's a totally different animal. I don't
Yeah.
really see that, but it makes me wonder because I recently got into Kill Team, and a couple of the teams I bought, I get to use for I think one more year,
Jeez.
and then they technically get retired from like tournament play. Now you can play them at home, and there's gonna be
Of
rules
course.
for them,
Yeah.
but for tournaments to be like, I think they just want to phase things out, especially stuff if it's kind of broken. It's like get rid of that stuff. We'll come up with something new.
Well,
So,
that's the thing,
and
though. There's no Blood Bowl teams that are broken, and they can make changes to them as they go.
they could.
And
I'm
really,
not.
I guess if they keep releasing 3 or 4 teams a year, it's not insane. It'll be a few years before they get up to 50. But I mean, eventually, we got to start thinking that there has to be either a maximum number or there's not. And if there's not, it's going to be a lot of teams.
Well, who knows?
Right.
Let's
Anyways,
continue on with the spike.
continuing on.
So overall, you like the changes?
I do. I think the team is, like I said, more dynamic, more interesting, not as good, for sure, but they're still solid.
I agree. Then we got on page 6, famous dwarf teams. One of my most favorite things, the fluffy stuff.
And they
It
do
talks
mention the
about the
Hobgoblin
hashtags,
team.
huh?
And they mentioned the Hobgoblin team.
Which really makes me happy because I have taken the hobgoblin team to a tournament. That's right. Nothing but hobgoblins. Well, I had a minotaur on there. I think I had the minotaur and what's the other one? Grashnak.
Yeah.
And then everybody else was hobgoblins. And I did terrible. But I did play, quote, the hobgoblin team after I did my first 24. That was one of the teams. They talk about the Hash Hut Harbingers, the Ashridge Infernos, and the was that Uzi Kulik Undertakers? Uz Kulik. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce that. But anyways, fluffy teams. So when you're thinking like I got to turn in my Chaos Cup roster, and instead of having a stupid name, which sorry folks, most of y'all are getting really bad with team names and probably just to piss me off. But just come here and grab one of these. Like, oh, I can't think of a good name, so I'm going to take the Ashridge Infernos and just go be happy.
Yeah. We get into the Zara Nagarund Ziggurats team spotlight. That's it gives you your career highlights and the Hall of Fame roster from 2502 to 2503, which does include Zarg Mad-Eye, so that's cool.
That's cool.
And they do have a reference to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with Zarg. Then I started blasting.
Oh, is that a... See, I wouldn't have got that because I didn't...
Yeah. It's the Danny DeVito. And then I started blasting. Anyways.
I noticed they come with one bribe to keep Zarg Mad-Eye on that team.
Of course, you have to.
I always like looking at these teams to see like what skills did they earn. They went heavy with these like dirty players and sneaky gets on these hobgoblins. So they went pretty themey on this. It will never happen, but it sure would be fun to just put all these teams together and have a tournament with them.
Jeez. It's happened other places, but yeah, not us.
Then we have a player spotlight with Zarg Mad-Eye. Is he needed?
It gives him a passer.
I know, but is anybody like... I'm looking at the model.
Here's the thing.
The model's amazing.
So here's the thing. He's 130. He's 4+, 3+, 10+, loner 4+, cannoneer, Hail Mary pass, nerves of steel, secret weapon, sure hands, thick skull. So yeah, even with a bribe, do they get 50K bribes? Or are they 100K for them? It'd have to be 100K. Yeah. So
okay.
He's technically 230 at that point, I guess.
I mean, he is a 4-strength ball carrier if you want to use him for that.
And passer. But who are you passing to?
Right.
I don't know. And then his special rule is then I started blasting once per half at the start of his activation. Zarg may perform a blunderbuss blast special action. When he does, select a standing opposition player within 3 squares of Zarg and roll a d6. On a 3+, the selected player is hit. Immediately make an unmodified armor roll and subsequent injury roll, if necessary, against the selected player. On a 2, the opposing coach selects a player from either team, but not Zarg, within 3 squares of the originally selected player to be hit instead. And on a 1, Zarg is hit instead. So, it's neat. We now have more range actions, which is interesting. Hopefully it doesn't become a trend. I like him. But I don't know. He's cheap.
He is. I guess I didn't factor that. It's just the game has moved away so much from like most people passing at all. It's just...
Yeah. And again, who's he passing to unless you get another star? A hobgoblin?
Again, I love the name.
Yeah.
I love what the character looks like. I love the idea behind it. I truly do.
And to keep
So,
up their weirdness, he is 4'3" and only weighs 180 pounds.
oh,
No way.
yeah.
His armor alone is probably that heavy.
Well, maybe he's turning to stone.
So he gets lighter?
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah. I thought, never mind. I looked at that, I'm looking at it right now, and I was like, yeah, wait a second. Was that 280? No, it is 180.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, they've always had the like weights and heights off, if you
Oh,
ask
I
me.
know. That's why I brought it up. We do have.
Uh,
Is this a new feature, or am I just forgetting?
which one?
Touchline trends with Tadzina Barberini.
If it has been in past spikes, I do not remember it.
Okay.
So this is new.
It's a fashionista talking about their outfits,
Well, I mean, they are pretty
which is cool,
outfits.
and they are known for their hats, so that makes sense.
I am so glad they kept the hats.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know there's a lot of third-party good-looking dwarf teams out there, but so far, I think these look really good from GW, and people should not be one of those weirdos that go, I don't buy any GW products. Why would I support them? They're mean. But anyways, I think they look cool. Then we got your boy Hargoth, Hathark, the Unstoppable.
Which, again, I don't know if I've mentioned this before or in a while. To me, probably right up there with one of the best players in the game. I've always liked him. He's always been amazing. He is 6'6", 4+, 6+, 10+. He is 300k. But he's got loner 4+, block, break tackle, defensive, juggernaut, sprint, sure feet, thick skull, and he's got unstoppable momentum. Whenever Hethark performs a blitz action, he may reroll a single block dice. And
that's not one time.
Right.
That's
whenever every time. This guy is a beast.
For sure.
And he weighs 1,800 pounds and is 8'8".
I noticed that.
He's twice as tall as Zarg.
That's okay. He probably... I mean, he's a big horse guy.
And 10 times as heavy. But yeah, I'm so glad that he finally has a figure of his own. You know, back in the old days in 3rd edition, he was sold as a star player, but he was just a Bull Centaur. Same exact model.
100%, yeah.
You know, I've got a 3rd edition team sitting in front of me that I'm trying to sell because I bought them to get some other stuff. And it came with 3 Bull Centaurs, all the same.
Yeah, and I always never got that 3rd one, but I didn't think it was a big deal because, I mean, you don't get to use him too often. I wonder once this stuff comes out if anybody is going to be tempted to run him at Chaos Cup, because if you can pick up the ball with him, holy hell, it's going to be hard to bring this boy down.
Yeah. I mean, in his agility's 4+. It's not horrible.
No, but good gravy if you...
My 6+, my 6 strength, essentially 9 moving giant monster of a beast has the ball. Good luck.
Yeah, I'm as strong as a tree, man.
Yeah.
Come take the ball from me.
Mm-hmm. Then, of course, freaking Acorn just comes up and knocks you down.
I mean, Acorn would have to get a really high score on his Dauntless roll. He'd have to roll a 6.
True.
I mean, he gets 2 shots at it, but I mean, yeah, Acorn's kind of a butthole, so I could see somebody going, I was doing really good until Acorn came over and busted my balls. We talk about more Hargett. I can't even say his name.
Hethark.
I just want to add other stuff to it.
We have the Wasteland Leagues, so a different way to do leagues based on the wastelands that they come from.
Is anybody out there have the time and have the like buddies that you try a league with these extra league rules? Because I do like the idea behind these. And when I read these, I always go, oh, we should do that. But there's just not enough time in my life to do this.
I think, honestly, you know how, I don't know if this is still the way, but remember in the old days when we used to do the regular league and then we do Alcorn Cup?
Uh-huh.
I think it would be cool if instead of Alcorn Cup being the same every year, we changed it to a different league every year and played with the different rules. So that's
Yeah,
one
because
way to do it, but yeah, we don't do that anymore.
I mean, they talk about, the prizes, and then there's even a Ash Wasteland weather table, which
Hmm.
is, I mean, some of these things are different, but it's just cool options to do this stuff. I love this illustration on page 18 where it shows this dwarf running the ball. It's clearly a dwarf blocker, and he's just dodging away from this dark elf.
And the Dark Elf has his underwear in his hands.
Yeah, that's cool. They even have a Darklands kickoff event on page 19. I don't know if you read over that or not.
No, not really.
Um, and then it talks about the pitch, which I'm glad they're including the pitch rules
Yeah.
in these things, because really you don't need to buy the pitch because the rules are here. So that's pretty cool.
And the pit, we'll get to the pitch, but they're always cool. And the stone, the balls are here. Cursive stone ball and hot rock ball. We got
I
our
might I
coffin
might have
corner.
to read over these and see if I want to steal any of these for my next Critter Bowl tournament.
Oh yeah, true.
See if they have some good ideas here.
We got coffin corner as always, and a little
Mhm.
stabber going after a wood elf.
And I wish I'd give it credit to who drew these things.
Nah,
But
GW's not gonna do that.
Chat with the Rat, we have that before in the
Hmm.
past. This time interviewing Zarg Mad Eye. It looks like, oh, and Barik Farblast. So
Mm,
their Bazooka brothers are
the
probably
Bazooka
talking hand in hand
Brothers.
there.
It's a great
Then, of
name.
course, we have the playbook, where it talks about the positionals again, which we're used to. I mean, frankly, a lot of times these are just kind of rehashes of the stuff that we read before.
Yeah, but they're good for new players if you really want to
I
learn how to level up.
I 100% think they should be included in here. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, most of the time when you read about the Minotaur, it's almost exactly the same as what you read earlier
Yeah.
about the Minotaur. But I think it's good that they do like starting rosters for new players, because they might not have buddies or somebody to go to, and they can get it all here. The team development thing, while I don't need this, I think it's good also for new players to see, like, oh,
Hmm.
I never thought about getting this skill, or I didn't know I should get Juggernaut for the Minotaur. Now I get it. Um,
We got
and
our
I never thought about Ironheart skin for the Minotaur. Like, I don't really want to waste a skill, but man, that keeps that Minotaur from getting fouled off the field.
It does, and he has the low armor, so
Yeah,
the problem is it's not usually the fouls that do it. It's just the regular armor rolls.
I know. It makes me so mad. Um, then we have the setups for offense and defense. Pretty standard in these Spike magazines. I
Hmm.
do like some of these little illustrations, though.
Oh, the illustrations are always great.
I do kind of like that the Firesmiths are the guys that, at least in illustrations, have these horns. So they're like little demon guys.
Hmm.
So I think that is neat. Then we have a player spotlight on page 30, 31 of Rashnak Backstabber, which I'm really glad they brought this guy back.
Yep, Rashnak
Uh,
is 7, 3, 3 plus, 5 plus, 8 plus, 130. Loner 4 plus, Shadowing, Sidestep, Sneaky Git, and Stab. And special rule Toxin Connoisseur. Once per game, when Rashnak successfully breaks an opposition player's armor as a result of a stab special action, you may apply an additional +1 modifier to the injury roll. This modifier may be applied after the roll has been made. Once per
it's
game.
pretty good. Yeah, it's only once per game, but it's pretty good
Yeah,
if you get to see the roll after.
yeah.
Um,
And no secret weapon, so that's nice. Which, he shouldn't have because he's just stabbing people, and that's perfectly fine.
so okay, so the only difference between him and a regular hobgoblin is well,
Sidestep and Sneaky Git and Loner.
yeah. I mean, that's really like I just don't get his value. Like, I mean, I guess he's worth the
faster.
one. Well, he's not. If you look at the stabby ones, aren't they 7 movement?
Are they?
Well,
I thought they were the same.
You're right. They are. They're 6 moves. So you get an MA +1,
Yeah.
and then you get sidestep, sneaky get automatically. So okay, I changed my mind.
But he's still 130, which is not cheap.
It's not too bad, but man, having a 130 star that could go down to 3 results on the dice roll is not so great.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they only have 8+ armor. But anyways, I'm glad to have him back. I've had a model for years of a hobgoblin with some little stabby weapons that now if I ever use him, I can get that painted. So that'll be cool. Dungeon Bowl update. I have not looked at this at all.
No, I mean, when's the last time we played Dungeon Bowl?
I know, but like I didn't even graze through this enough to like see where all these positionals are going. It looks like the College of Fire makes the most sense. That's where the dwarf blockers and the flamesmiths are going.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember the other positionals for the College of Fire. Do you?
No, not a clue.
Hmm.
And we get a comic where we get to see Bob's hair get burned off, which is nice.
The College of Beasts get the Bull Centaur Blitzers once again. And of course, the Shadow gets all the Goblin people. Oh, the College of Fire is the one that has the dwarves, the snotlings, and the ogres, I believe.
Okay.
So now they get some chaos dwarfs as well. Yeah. I like the little comic. I wish it was longer.
As always, it's still Christian Schwager, which is always awesome.
Yeah.
We might have something to mention about that coming up in November.
And then the last page shows the dwarves. So you can see them all painted up and their names. Notice they don't have names like Player 5 or Player Name or just Bob and then Bobby and then Bobby with an I and then Robert. So just think about that when you submit your Chaos Cup rosters this year. Then the last page, and that's it. So that covers Spike. I know nobody can see this, but I'm gonna hold these up for Steve to view. We got some product in. GW sent us the team.
Yep.
And like I talked about earlier in the podcast, I did, last night, I still couldn't see the face. So yeah, I had to put one of these models together so I could see this. So while I like the model and the new look of them, I still think this is hard to see because he's leaning his head back. He's pouring gasoline or something in his mouth so he can breathe fire on people. And if I was a part of this project, I would say, let's not worry about that. Let's just make this guy, he can be holding up a little bottle like he's about to take a swig, but I would have had his face where he was facing you just straight on, and maybe had little flames coming out the side of his face. I was going to say,
I would have some flames coming out, but that probably just wasn't easy
because they did that. I know this is terrible, but on the foot, you can see just a tiny bit of a little flame, and they could have had that coming out of the mouth instead of, they have a legit little bottle with liquid pouring out going into this guy's face.
Yeah.
I do like the little head sculpts because I have the one with like the goggles and the little horns on his head. So I thought this is cool, but I would have just made it, to me, it's not super visual appealing. It's maybe on the side of a little ugly, but it feels unfair to say that because I know some people are going to really, but overall, I do like the models. That is the ugliest of all the models that they have here, I should say.
That's good.
Then we have the Chaos Bull Centaurs.
Yeah.
And they're in a 2-pack. And I believe they're going to come from Forge World. Is that correct?
I'm sure, yeah.
I had somebody at the store weeks ago argue with me that they're going to get into Blood Bowl because they saw the new Chaos Dwarves. And I said, well, I'm just warning you, they're going to be pretty expensive from what I understand because, some pieces are sold separate. And this person, as if their life was on the line, acted like I was crazy and they knew for sure that everything is in a box And I said, "Are you talking about the bull centaurs? Because they are a very crucial piece for a Chaos Dwarf team." So I don't think they're in a box, but I had to act like I'm stupid and go, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Not that you
And this
were sitting on
person,
the knowledge for like 2 weeks before then.
um, this was one day after these came in the mail.
Right.
And they assured me, no, everything is going to be in the box except for the Minotaur. The bull centaurs are in the box and on the sprue and all the other little. Now, they did know about all the little dwarves and stuff. So, like, they must have been reading the articles, but they were 1,000,000% thinking that they were right. And I'm here to tell them now, you're wrong. I have the packages here and I can talk about it. We also have Zarg Mad-Eye right here. It's a cool looking model.
I do like him a lot.
It's a lot of little pieces. Well, it's not, I mean, it's not as bad as some of these, but there is tiny separate horns that I guess go on the side of his head. And
Oh.
when I saw that, I immediately went, maybe I don't need to keep this model.
Well, we'll have giveaways for Oklahoma Bowl.
Yeah. The Hargoth or Harthok, the
Thark.
Unstoppable.
Thark. Thark.
Harthok. Golly, I just want to butcher it every time.
It could be wrong. I mean, we don't know for sure until they mention it in the book.
Anyways,
game.
he's on 2 feet. Not my favorite pose, but it works here. He's on his 2 back legs. So
You want everybody to be on 2 feet, and they gave you 2 feet. Now you're
well,
complaining
I
about
know,
2 feet.
but I don't know if he feels stable. I'm scared that he'll get broke.
He's on 2 feet, not 1 foot. They
Steve,
did
I'm
what
getting
you
to the
asked.
age where I drop things. I don't need them to shatter as soon as they hit the floor.
I'm pretty sure he's going to be one of those pieces that you'll want to fill the base with some putty or something to add some weight.
Probably. So I got all this stuff in weeks ago in one
pitch?
box. What's that?
Did you get the pitch?
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
Oh, okay.
So the guys at the store who know we do the podcast says we need to start talking about Kill Team more. So maybe we get preview copies of Kill Team stuff. And I just laugh at them every time. Well, I knew a new Kill Team box set is coming out here in about 3 to 4 weeks. And after the Chaos Dwarf stuff came in, this had to be, I think I just got this within the last week. This big box came in. And I'm telling you, Steve, it was big enough to be a starter set for Kill Team. My daughter goes, "Oh, yeah, you have a package in. I forgot to tell you." And I was like, "Oh, really? Who's it from?" Because I thought it was maybe like a Kickstarter board game or something. And she said, "Games Workshop." And as I walked over there, I was like, that box is big. And I got excited. What if this is the like $250 Kill Team box set? Ooh, this would be nice. Then I don't have to get it from the store because they have sent us old world stuff before. So it's not like totally ridiculous.
Normally they tell us in advance, so I would have told you, but yeah.
I grabbed the box and nearly hit myself in the face lifting it up with all my strength because in this big giant box is just this pitch.
Yeah, okay.
The one pitch in this giant box. God. I'm very thankful, but it was in a giant box that I thought was a starter set for a Kill Team or something. But it is a nice like looking lava layer type pitch. On one side it has a normal field, and then like the squares that kind of like heat up, I guess, from the results, the eruption side of it is all. It looks really pretty damn cool. So anyways, that's the products we got from GW. We got no dice, we got no physical spike,
no cards.
No cards. They probably go,
no loss.
They said, "You mofos ain't getting cards because you make fun of our cards every time."
Sure do. Fully justified. I tell you, I was at Slurpee Bowl and they had, I think maybe Snotling cards in the half off area. So they were down to like $10, and I had a $5 gift certificate, so I could have got them for $5, and I was still like, nah, I'm good.
It's funny. I have some people trying to try out Blood Bowl, and I told them I would like kind of help them do a rookie league,
Yeah.
like a private rookie league, just to see if they like it. I said, I'll let you borrow some teams.
I hear the
You can
triple
play-
nipples coming back for that.
Yeah. Triple Nipple and a few other guys that just they don't want to make a big deal about it, so I didn't announce it at the store. It's like a totally private thing.
Yeah.
So they could play about 3 to 4 games and just decide like, this is not for me, or okay, I love it. If I get 2 guys out of the 5, I'll be happy, if they play in the league. But either way, I'm letting them borrow teams. I took all the cards to them to say, like, if you want to run one of these teams, I have the cards for them. And somehow I have like 6 different teams with cards for 6 different teams. They thought it was cool as hell that there was data cards. And then they pull them out. And they go, well, what are these cards? And I was like, most people don't use those for Blood Bowl because they're like the ones that do special plays. And they, so you never use these or just at tournaments? And I was like, no, I've never seen a tournament. I said, I know there is tournaments that sometimes do them, but I've never been to one. They're like, okay, so these are useless. So they put those to the side and they go, what are these blank cards? And I was like, well, you could fill in things if you wanted to, like in a league. And they're like, but then we just ruin your cards. And I said, yeah, you're not going to do that for these. You can make photocopies if you want. Well, thought y'all had this like either digitally or on a piece of paper. And I was like, yeah, we do.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and they were like, okay, so these are useless. And they set them to the side. And they were like, oh, I didn't know this team gets this cool guy. And I was like, oh, he's a star player. By the time we got to the end of it all, they were like, so these 4 cards are useful. And I said, yes, if you're playing dwarves, these 4 cards are useful. And they were like, how much are these things? And I said, well, I think now they're like probably over $20. And they were like, boy, this ain't worth it. And I was like, no, it's not.
I really wish that they would go and just do a whole set of just the positional cards. Like redo every
actually, one of the guys said, wouldn't this be better served for new people if the whole deck was just like 6 teams?
Yeah.
And it's just the positionals for those 6 teams.
Yeah.
And then if I
and
play
the star
2
players
of the
they might
16,
use,
Yeah. Yeah. So there's an idea for you, GW. You could release 4 little sets and maybe people would buy those just for the new players. So
do it based on, the star players they can get. And I'm with you. I like those cards. I would love to have just those cards, just so if I was training or teaching someone, it's like, here, these are your positionals. You have them in front of you. We don't need a whole roster.
But
yeah,
there you go.
Exactly.
Anyways, I just found it funny how they were like, this went from the coolest thing ever to like, so I only need these 4 cards, really. I'm like, yeah.
Well, it is what it is.
Big thanks for GW for sending us this product. These are really cool items. To be real honest, I don't see me or Steve keeping any of these miniatures because we have like lots of Chaos Dwarf teams. So as Steve said, you'll probably see these at a future tournament and giveaways and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, anything else about Chaos Dwarves besides that you're just happy to finally get them?
No, I think that's it. I like them. I know a lot of people can complain because you're not min-maxing anymore, and they're not as good against stunties and stuff. But they're a more well-balanced team, in my opinion, and I'm excited to see how they reflect that in the standings.
I'm very curious to see some of the good players, what they'll do with these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, because I just want to see like if people come up with things I don't even think of, and they probably will. So,
all right.
Hey, anyways, let's wrap this up. We'll come back with some Matador Melee. We're back. We're going to talk about some Matador Melee. Blah, 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 blah.
Matador Melee.
Matador Melee. Matador Melee. It's in Lubbock, Texas. So that's a good close to 6-hour drive from where I live in Oklahoma. Luckily, this trip has helped that our buddy Dylan Francis lives in Lubbock. and he is more than happy to have host Airbnb Francis. Him and his wife are really nice, and they let us. Me and Gary went to this tournament.
That's cool.
So we traveled out there. Gary took orcs. I sent John 4 different rosters because I was trying to play something that nobody took. So that was a big deal to me to try to like find the roster. Like I said, just let me know what nobody took. I gave him an order. This was about a week before, and he said, yeah, he's like, right now, nobody is taking gnomes. If something changes, I'll let you know. And I was like, great, now I got to play gnomes. So I wasn't so excited that I was going to have to play gnomes, as you can imagine.
Yep.
But I had to come up with a team. So I don't have one painted. I don't know of anybody that has one painted.
I do.
Like, do you really?
Yeah, Phil painted them for me. Remember?
Oh, that's right. I forgot everybody gives you like hand jobs to like free painted teams.
You're supposed to
And
reach out to him and he'll paint you one.
oh, well, I got the models. Anyways, so playing gnomes, I had to use halflings, and this build was a 1.140 build. 1,140K.
It's an odd number.
It is an odd number because John does not do tiers. Everybody's the same. At this tournament, the only star player you can take is Rumbelow. He's renamed as the Master Rider because it's a Texas Tech themed tournament for their mascot. And people, if you can afford it, can pick 2 of them on your team.
Seriously?
Yeah. So you can have 2 Rumbelows on your team. They're really not Rumbelow. It's the Master Rider, and he plays for anybody.
Yeah.
So I took my halfling team. I got the 2 trees that matches. I have actually 2 of the new halflings, the ones on the bigger bases, painted for my old world alliance team. It's the same color as my halfling team. So therefore I subbed those 2 guys in as the Beastmaster pieces.
Okay,
they have guard. Yeah. I put bands on them to represent, for my sake too. I put green bands on them to show that they had guard in addition to whatever skills I gave them. And then I really thought it was more important to have an extra reroll than to have the tricksters. Even though I wanted to play the tricksters to find out what the tricksters do, I went ahead and dropped the tricksters and just took a bunch of gnome linemen instead to get 4 rerolls. And then of course I took 1 Rumbelow as well. So that was my roster for this tournament. I had, a bunch of guys I think I had 15 characters total, if I remember correctly. Went into the tournament. Of course, it's at Stormcrow Games. I can't say enough about Stormcrow. Their store is really awesome. If you're in that area and you're into like Warhammer 40K, Star Wars, whatever miniatures that need terrain, that place is stocked with painted terrain, and you're really missing out on an opportunity if you just go in there and set up and play a game. Round 1 started fairly early. Before all this, we traveled on a Friday. We took off work, traveled down there. We hit the same kind of comic stores in that area, found some goodies. I found a Captain Victory collected all 12 issues plus the special. Do you remember Captain Victory?
I do. Never read a single one.
And the Galactic Rangers, it was by Jack Kirby in 1981 after Jack was pretty much done with the other companies. Pacific Comics gave him the reins to do whatever. And it's really funny. About 2 weeks ago, I saw an ad in an old comic I was reading. I was like, I should pick those up. I remember reading a few when I was younger. They were not good.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I should try to find them. And back in the day, they were in the dollar bins. Well, now they're harder to find since they're 40 plus years old. This place had a collected all original issues, the whole set, for $75. And I didn't want to do that, and I had cash because cash talks.
Yep.
And I made them an offer nicely about, I know this is going to seem weird. I got $40 if you want to drop the price that low, but I also know that's ridiculously low, almost half price. And the one guy said no. but I knew he was the worker bee, and I talked loud enough so the manager could overhear me. And as I was checking out, he walked over and he goes, "Did you say you had cash?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "All right, we'll do it." So,
And inside, he's like, finally, someone will actually buy these from me.
right. Gary looked them up and he said, surprisingly, they're marked about what they're worth if they're worth that to you. But I didn't want to pay 75.
Well,
So,
that's the thing, too, is like, I've been looking at the comic app, the collector app that I have. And, you look at some of these comics, and it's just not accurate because it'll say $10. You go look at eBay, they sell for $2. Unless they're in really good condition or, something
yeah,
special.
whatever. Right. So,
Yeah.
you can't trust the thing. So, anyways, we had fun going to these stores. We ate at a place. Oh, God, it's, I can't remember what the damn thing's called. It's a pizza place in Lubbock. I posted.
Oh, Cosmic Pizza Place?
What's that?
Was it Cosmic Pizza or something like that?
No, it wasn't
Nebula?
Cosmic. I'm
Nobody
trying
cares.
to. What's that?
Nobody cares.
I mean, they should, because this place had a pizza called like a New Mexico pizza. It was amazing.
Do they have green
It was
chilies
like,
on it?
yeah, it had the green chilies. Like, I didn't think it was going to be good. Dylan said like it's really good, but some people don't like green chilies
Yeah.
and all this, and I was just like a little hesitant. Oh, I
There's-
never even posted pictures. I thought I was going to post pictures.
There's
I
a
guess I
place
never
here
did.
called Slice Works, and they had a green chili pizza. And I looked at it. I'm like, I got to try that. And it was really good. So,
Yeah, so we ate at this place before. They also had I think it's called Atomic Lounge, a pizza kitchen. I think that's.
and is
where
this
we're
the
at.
same one that Gary said he would never go back to?
No, this is a different one.
Okay. I think I
was
asked
like-
that every time, but
Yeah. This is the one we had at last time. It's more of a bar place, but their pizza, they have this one that's like has this like raspberry stuff on it with ham.
huh.
It is amazing. It's like one of the best pizzas I've ever had. And that Mexican pizza or that New Mexico style pizza, whatever it was really freaking good.
Ham?
And
Underrated pizza topping.
yeah,
I think
agree.
it's top tier, but nobody really just jumps on it.
Yeah, so if you're in that area, it's called Atomic Lounge and Pizza Kitchen. It was closer to like kind of on the side towards campus and stuff like that off Broadway. Anyways, really good pizza. The guy made me a drink. I told him like, I'll try some alcohol, but I don't like, stuff that tastes like alcohol. So he came back with some like alcoholic cherry limeade. And the first time I've had like an alcoholic beverage in probably years that I can remember. But good stuff. We had a good time. We went for the ice cream place. I can't remember what that's called, but it's an amazing ice cream place as well. Then went home and we played a game called Unfathomable, which the best way I can describe it is kind of like you're on the Titanic, but you're not on the Titanic. They call it something else, like the Atlantic or something like U.S. Atlantic. And all these deep ones are trying to attack you. And so every round that you have a turn, you have a mythos card that you have to solve as a group, but yet somebody's a secret betrayer and all this stuff. Kind of like Nemesis in some ways, different ways to win,
Okay.
but just on a ship in 1920s with Cthulhu stuff. We had a good time with that. We got Dylan's wife to play with us, and she was actually the betrayer, which was really funny. She was the hybrid, so we gave her a hard time about that. Got a good night's sleep. Next morning, went to Stormcrow, amazing place. Round one, I'll get to the Blood Bowl because really the trip itself is part of the more of the fun sometimes than the Blood Bowl. Round one, one, I notice there's a lot of orc teams at this event.
How many people?
A lot of orc teams at this event, and so much that I was like, just by chance, how many orc teams are here, John? And he goes, oh, there's 6 of them
Out of how many?
out of 18 teams.
Oh, wow, 18. That's good.
Right. I'll get to the race breakdown here in a minute, here in a little bit, but round one, of course, my gnomes play Chaos Dwarves, and not just Chaos Dwarves. If you look at the U.S. top-rated coaches with Chaos Dwarves, I play the second-rated, highest-rated coach in the U.S. with Chaos Dwarves,
Jason Campbell?
Mr. Jason Campbell,
Yep.
who is a fabulous coach, as we know. He always does well at Oklahoma Bowl and our events up here. And I was like, well, this is probably a loss. um, he was pounding out those Chaos Dwarves with the Mighty Blow and stuff like that. I To sum this game up, I just remember starting to get frustrated, and then I told myself, like, well, it's still only 1-0. I gotta just play the game and see what happens. And sure enough, I was able to swing the fence on him and score uh, at the end of the second half, or at the end of the first half. I think it was 1-1 at halftime, and then I was kicking off to him. Here's what gnomes can do good with: you have good dice rolls. Somebody has a cage, they're stunty. If I had 4 dodges on a course on my guys, and then I had 1 pro tree and 1 block tree. Those are all the skills I had. Occasionally you can take your little gnome guy with guard and jump into a cage because you're stunty. And then you jump the other guy in there, not jump, dodge your way into the cage with the other guy. And then you just hope that you roll something good.
Yeah, but you don't have dodge, so.
What's that?
You don't have dodge, so.
I don't have dodge. I only had 4 players with dodge.
Yeah.
It's way harder. I managed to get into the cage, I want to say 2 or 3 times. I could be slightly. I got hits on the ball carrier at least 2 to 3 times. I even had 2 shots at him in the first half. I just couldn't capitalize on it. So the second half I did, and my trees came to life. They started injuring players, so I started getting bodies, and then there was a big clog up. And anyways, the game ended 1-1. I was very, very happy to take a tie when it's gnomes versus Chaos Dwarves.
Yeah,
I don't care if the number 2 coach rolls, has a few bad rolls to help me out. I take that as a win. So I'm very happy about that. We had lunch. We went to, I made Gary go to Wiener Schnitzel, which he doesn't really like, and there's a reason. It's not that great.
Yeah.
But we don't have one around here. The food was fairly crappy except for like the chili dog. Came back round 2. I played against Mark Berg from Lawton, Oklahoma. He was there in Lubbock. He had orcs. Stacked and packed. He had you could put double skills on people, or 2 skills on people didn't hurt you at all. So he had 4 biggins with block and guard. This game, back and forth, I eventually scored. I don't, at this point, I really don't remember even how, but somehow I scored, I believe with one of the foxes, because they're fairly fast, and stayed up 1-0, gave enough chaos into his stuff. I really thought this game was going to be tied, ended a tie, but I ended up winning 1-0 because time ran out. And then, so I was sitting with 1 win, 1 tie, and pretty happy. I told Gary before the tournament, if I could just go 1-1-1, I'd be very happy with the overall results. And then the last game I played, Jake Cottrell, he had a Norse team, and we went back and forth like mofos. I mean, at one point I thought, well, I'm going to get beat 1-0. Another point, I tripped going I just needed 1 dodge to score. I tripped up with that, even with dodge, rolled, I think, 2 2s. Just went back and forth. This game ended up being a 0-0 tie. So when it was all said and done, out of the 18 people, I had 1 win and 2 ties. Not too bad for
That's
gnomes.
really good. Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you what was at the field. In the field of all these 18 teams, we had Chaos Chosen, Norse, Orc, Chaos, Necromantic, Orc, Necromantic, Orc, Norse, Orc, Lizardman, Chaos Dwarf, Orc, Chaos Dwarf, and
No.
We had gnomes. I believe there was 2 other bashy teams. He kind of cut this off because we started the tournament with 18 people, and then 1 guy dropped after 1 round, so John dropped out of the tournament as well.
Yeah.
Those 2 teams are not on here, but that's a lot of bashy teams.
Yes, it is.
So there was the gnomes, which was me, and then the winner of the event was Josh Arnett from Houston. He took Skaven, and he was the only guy to go not go 3-0 that day.
Yeah.
So he got that. Runner up to the tournament was Adam. Is it Kazaka? He comes to a lot of our events.
Yeah.
He's a Texas guy. He got runner up. Most brutal went to Jeff Burns with his orcs. Thomason Bush got best offense. Jake Cottrell got fan favorite. Best sport went to Justin Austin. Wow, that's a weird Justin Austin. That's hard to say when you see that. Player's choice went to Eugene Ogle, and then CQ got Dust in the Wind, which is basically their wooden spoon. By default, with 1 win and 2 ties and no losses, I got Stunty Cup. I was also the only Stunty Cup there.
Yeah, it sucks that it's by default, but I mean, with that record, you probably would get it anyways.
With that said, I did try my best because I didn't want to be just handed an award for showing up, and I wanted to be respectable. So I was pretty happy with my results. Sure, I didn't have any competition. I'll take it. So my question to you is,
Yes.
just talking about tournaments, and a big thing lately with tournaments are tiers, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to bring dwarfs, you can, but they're tier 1. Oh, you want to play Chaos Chosen? Those poor guys, they don't get enough, so they're tier 2. And oh, you want to play halflings? Well, we'll give you even more skills. Now, I know the idea here is to get racial diversity at tournaments, right? Isn't that kind of the idea? Is like people aren't going to play the stunties if everything's even, because now all of a sudden, if everybody gets 7 or 8 skills, they have to double up on their treatment. So in essence, they're not going to get as much. So if you give them 11 skills instead, they're not going to take 11 normal skills with halflings or whatever. They're going to take a block on your tree man, a pro on your tree man. Those are start double them up. This is me personally. I'm tired of tiers a little bit, just because it's not a 1.2 million team taking on a 1.2 million team. It's a blah, 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 because there's a difference in skills.
Yeah.
Which is not much inducements, but in league play, that would be a big deal, right? To get some babes or, a mascot or something like that in league play. And I know tournament play and league play are different. And I was on the way down to Lubbock, I was talking to Gary about how, like, if I was solely in charge of tournaments going forward, I'm just going to make everything on equal footing. Every team's going to be a 1.2 million or whatever it is, like we used to do. Again, the latest trend over the last couple of years is tiers. We've seen that at a lot of big events and small events, and we've taken ideas from that since World Cup and everything with these tiers, whether we agree with the tiers or not.
Does this need to be its own segment, or are you asking if we should do tiers?
No. I'm trying to. Again, I know I'm being long-winded here. We were driving down to Lubbock, and I was saying, this is what I'm probably going to do going forward for a while. And then we get to Lubbock. Do you think the fact that John was running this tournament at a 1.14 build and there was no tiers is the reason why we saw what we saw in the team diversity, which was almost none?
A third of the races were orcs. Yes.
Correct.
That is a direct correlation to not having tiers.
Because as soon as we came home after the tournament, we start talking to Dylan and watching the OU game and getting food and all that stuff. Dylan says, "Oh, it sounds like Blood Bowl 3." And I said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And he goes, "Well, everybody, if given a choice, it's bash, because they won't take other chances." And then we started discussing all this with the tiers. And so now I'm torn with, maybe the tiers have it right, even if I don't like it.
Well, also, don't forget, if everything's equal, why would you not take dwarves with Griff? Like, this didn't have stars. Don't forget.
No, it didn't.
If this was straight amount and you could take megastars with no penalty, because that's the next step is, keep stars in, because what's it matter? You're going to have dwarves with Griff. You're going to have humans with Griff. You're going to have everybody's going to default to the thing. when you have tiers and people get uneven items or money, then that it's like, oh, well, I wouldn't normally take high elves, but I feel like they're costed a little bit low. They're on a lower tier, so I can get more skills. It allows me to play with them better. So I think they'll
Well,
be better.
I'm doing the same thing with Chaos Cup. There's no way I'm
Yeah,
going to take a tier 1 team to Chaos Cup
exactly.
because if I want to try the Chaos Cup star players,
Hmm.
it costs me 12 points to take both of them. I'll just take them on a lower tier team so I can still get the same
On
amount of skills as a tier 1 team.
on tournaments I'm running, you can take a tier 1 team. You can take a megastar on a tier 1 team. You're not going to have any skills if you do that. Period. So,
Well, I in a matter of just like 48 hours, I went from I'm never going to do I'm going to go
mhm,
back to this to then I saw like there's not much diversity.
yeah.
And nobody else, maybe they just didn't want to play stunty this weekend. I mean, I didn't really either. Given a choice, I was hoping somebody else would bring gnomes because if they did, I was going to switch to another team, which also would have been Bash, by the way. But still,
So there's just no incentive because you're at a disadvantage to start off with because they're
I,
a weaker team.
I
They're just
guess so.
now also sort of getting off the rails. Going to Arizona next weekend, and I thought about taking a stunty team because I had not played gnomes yet. They don't have a stunty cup, so no incentive for me to even take gnomes. Now they do have an award for most fouls, and I will be doing that. So I am
Okay.
still taking a stunty team, but I'm going for an award. Like I don't think I can win the tournament with a stunty team. Period. Not going to happen.
Right.
I'm not going to get best defense. I'm not going to get most touchdowns. I'm not going to get most casualties unless I take halflings with 3 trees, blah, blah, blah. But most fouls? Yeah, I can do that. Or I can try. It gives me something to do.
Right. Yeah, I get you. Anyways, I just thought it was an interesting
Yeah,
swath of like teams and not much diversity at all between
absolutely.
that. I mean, 18 teams. There's not even, I don't even know if there's 9 different races represented.
Didn't
One,
sound like
two,
it.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there's 9 exactly,
Hmm.
if I counted it right.
Out
So, I mean,
of
it's just
31.
out of 31 and 18 players were there.
32 because you could take Slan, right? Or 34, I guess, because you could take High Elves and Tomb Kings.
Mm, maybe.
I don't know if that's included. I don't know. Anyways,
I think those are already included, but
so
yeah.
31.
Anyways, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
All right. My rant is over. I was just curious if anybody else saw trends like that. So, all right, we'll be back and then we'll talk about the SoCal Scramble.
We're back, and we are going to talk about SoCal Scramble. This past weekend, I went out to San Diego, as I mentioned. Did stay with our buddy Moon, who was very nice to put me up. Flew in kind of late, which was nice because I didn't have to use a vacation day. And then Saturday, just got up. I don't think I did breakfast. No. Um, Tried to get some cash out to pay for the tournament, and that's when I realized I'd not set my PIN numbers on my card. So that was annoying. Um, got to
How,
the.
how do you not do that? You're so anal.
I know. I don't know. It was annoying. But so went to Off the Shelf Games in El Cajon. Part of the reason I wanted to go to this because it is San Diego and specifically El Cajon, where my grandfather lived and my father grew up for his high school days.
Is this
So,
the grandpa you hated?
oh yeah, yeah,
Okay.
he was
Remake
horrible.
my eggs, Stevie.
Mm-hmm. This is and kimchi every day. Oh yeah, this it's a whole another podcast. Um, but it's a really cool store. It wasn't your typical game store where they sold a whole bunch of games. They did sell some, but it was more of a we have a game library and you pay X amount to play games here. And
Okay.
they had alcohol too, which was interesting. They could actually have it in the store. Um, I think we ended up having 14 people. I took Elf Union, excuse me, with Jordell, because I just wanted to get some more elf time in, and haven't played with Jordell in a while. And we'll get to that. But pretty simple roster. It's 2 throwers, 1 with leader, 1 with sure hands, 2 blitzers, both with dodge, 2 catchers, both with block, and I had 1 reroll and 2 coaches. So real light on rerolls, but most everything I need was built in. So
This is Elf Union?
yeah.
Okay. You want block on the catchers?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious.
The way they're blodge. I had 5 blodge pieces.
They don't come with dodge, do they?
No, they do not.
Okay. Okay.
Huh, was I cheating? I don't know.
We'll talk about this later, everybody.
I'm so used to them having dodge.
We're talking about Elf Union, right? Catch.
Yep.
Nerves of Steel.
Yep.
I'm not going to ask to look at your roster because I wasn't there.
Nope, you're good. I gave everybody a copy of my roster. If they didn't catch me, I'm an idiot.
Did you really play with dodge on them?
Probably. I mean, I'm so used to putting dodge. Oh God. Oh well.
I mean, there's nothing you can do.
No.
Look, if nobody else caught you, I bet you didn't do that because somebody would have caught you.
You'd think. Let's just go. I didn't. I don't know.
Okay.
It was a while ago. It was like 3 days ago. It's a long time.
I mean, I know you keep these on file, so you can tell me later privately if you had a little advantage.
It's big advantage. I got 2 extra skills. So anyways,
I mean, you were at the SoCal Scramble, so you could just say like whatever that guy's name is, the coach, the USC old coach. Was
God.
helping you cheat.
I don't know.
Pete, whatever his name is, Pete Carroll.
Oh yeah, Pete Carroll.
You had Reggie Bush on your team.
Mm-hmm. So
old references from 20 years ago.
One of the cool things that they had awesome swag. They were impressed by my pitch because I took the Oklahoma pitch. That was awesome. And they had some cool pitches there that they made as well. And I guess they're getting some more made. But they had a wizard, and I'll show Scott.
I saw the wizard. Let me see it.
Yeah. Oh. Yep.
Yeah, the guitar wizard.
It's a wizard with a guitar, and he's awesome. Basically, he does a drunken fireball where it scatters, and it was just cool because whenever you could use him once per half, and I would just put him on the pitch like, "Here comes a guitar solo of doom." Rarely worked, but that was okay. It's part of the fun. Since Moon and I traveled together, so obviously we played first round, because that's how that works. I'm going to go pretty quick on these because I didn't write a full recap, and not a whole lot to talk about. These were pretty straightforward games. First game, he had Vamps, and he just was not doing well picking up the ball and being able to protect the ball, and it doesn't help that I have got Jordell. And
some extra dodge.
And some extra dodge, If you're gonna cheat, do it in style. So essentially, the whole day I did not win any kickoffs. So I was kicking off to everybody. He did have a Vargeist, so he picked up the ball the first turn. He came up and moved forward. Then his second turn, his Vargeist got both down, and he didn't re-roll it. So quick turn. Allows me to get into the backfield, and I used Jordell to hit his ball carrier. I got both down. So I was good to go there, except he had blodge, because why wouldn't he? So I re-rolled it and got a POW, and I'm just pushing the advantage. That's all I want to do is score touchdowns these games. And I was able to score on my turn 3, and then score on my turn 8, and then score on my turn 2 in the second half. It ended up being 4-2, me. And that's including a failed tripwire dodge. So things did not go well for him, I'll put it that way.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
No. And it's hard because he did take all the vampires and of Argeist. So it was a lot of people. And yes, I was cheating. So
When you go, it was hard. I think, yeah, I bet because you
no,
possibly.
God.
It's just funny to me. It's
Yeah,
just funny.
you're not
It's a
wrong.
good. This is a good chuckle after the week I've had. So
It's a good
this is.
reminder to check out your opponent's roster because they could be cheating or they could just be stupid. So don't
Yeah,
be
we're
afraid
gonna
to
go with
ask.
you. You're pretty stupid. That's what you did.
So um, the the whole event was awesome. They had a lot of cool stuff to give away. Dice. They had block dice from the previous year that if it was your first time you got. They had a whole bunch of cool stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
The only, and I mentioned this, but the only downside is we had about 30 minutes for lunch, which is not enough time. So
Okay.
we basically we went to the mall it was right by, and I basically said, "Don't worry about time because they're not going to start without us, and if they do, whatever. Everyone's going to be late because we were not the last ones done." Um, but since we're at the mall, I got hot dog on a stick because I've never had hot dog on a stick, and it's
Ooh.
lies. It's just a corn dog. It's not a hot dog on a stick. Um, also,
Did you expect it
no,
to be
no,
somewhat different?
I expected it to be a corn dog, but
Okay.
um, I got a beef one, which I figured to be a hot dog, and then they had one that was pepper jack, which I assumed would be a beef with pepper jack in it. No, it was just cheese. It was just a
Huh.
block of pepper jack in cornmeal
Ooh.
fried.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
It was good for a couple of bites, but that's all I couldn't eat the whole thing. Um,
You're a wuss.
ended up going, well, I didn't need that attacking me during the game.
No,
Um,
that would have been even funny.
so go back to the game store, and my round two opponent was Kieran, and he was playing a Necro team. Really cool. He sculpted his own and 3D printed them, so that was really neat. A little bit on the cartoony side, a little bit larger, but it was awesome. He did it himself. And he didn't have any. He hadn't finished the werewolves, so he didn't have any werewolves on his team.
Okay.
Um, again, I did not win. He got quick snap on the initial kickoff. I was able to. I guess I did receive this one. I still lost, but he kicked to me. I was able to
You
get the
played a
ball.
necro team with no werewolves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Two whites with guard, and then the flesh golems with block and guard, and
Hmm.
ghouls with block. So I mean, still formidable. Um, but my first term, I was able to knock out a zombie, but then his first term, he casualtied a lineman. I ended up passing to a catcher and scoring on turn two. At that point, there were two KOs. I had a ghoul and a zombie knocked out, and he had two kegs and failed getting both of them out, which I thought was awesome.
Wow.
Um, he caged up, and he's he's using the tomb guardians, not the tomb guardians, the flesh golems, as the corners on his cage. They're 4 strength and they have guard. I get that, but they're not the whites or the wraiths. Excuse me. The wraiths are such a pain to try to do anything
Oh
with
God. They
because
are.
you might fail the foul appearance. You might, hit them and they'll sidestep to where you want them to go. So I was like, he's caging. I know he's going to cage. I have a shot at the ball carrier using Jordell. It basically meant that I had to base some of his people, and if I'd hit the ball carrier who was in the cage, if I knock him down, great. If I don't, if I can at least push him, I'll push him next to my other blitzer that has blodge step, so I can be real annoying, and I would still be able to move up other people to further protect. I was kind of leaving him back to see if the ball would come out or not. Well, Jordell ends up getting a skull, and I go to re-roll and failed. And he knocks down Jordell. Then everything went to hell. He started casualting people, knocking people out. He foul-cased Jordell. And at the end of the half, I had 6 KOs. I was able to get 4 of them back, which were my 2 blitzers and 2 catchers. Start of the second half, I had, with those 4 people, 6 people on the pitch.
Wow.
That was it. And he started off the half by casualtying a lineman. And it just, by turn 3, he KO'd and casualtied another guy. He had me 1 figure away from being pitch cleared. And before that, he received the second half. He moved all of his people up, and he was trying to foul and, get my people out. So he actually left his ball carrier in the backfield with both ghouls back there and moved up and was trying to foul me and got caught. So they were in kind of a weak position, and I had my blitzers and I had my catchers. So I was able to put the catcher on the ball carrier, another catcher on the other one back there, and I blitzed the ball carrier, knocked the ball out, was able to pick it up with my blitzer. So my next turn, because he wasn't able to get back there and take the ball away from me, my next turn, I had the option, and he's got a wraith on me, which is annoying. So my options were I could dodge away with both catchers and try to blitz the wraith to maybe try to get him down or off of me, but he wasn't going to go off of me. Or I just had to do a 3+, 2+ dodge to score. So I just did that because I had dodge on my blitzer. I got a 2, re-rolled 2. So I had a chance to go up 2-1, which would have pretty much assured me a tie, but I wasn't able to do it, so he ended up winning 2-1.
Okay. Well, when you originally talked to me about this game privately on text, you made it sound like you got destroyed like 5-0 or something.
No,
like
I got
that.
destroyed. I had 3 people lined up on the last kickoff because I got 2 of my KOs back.
Gotcha.
That was it. Like I just couldn't do anything. I was so down on people. Last round, and at this point, I had 4 touchdowns the first round. I had 1 touchdown this round, so I'm at 5. And I was like, well, who has the most touchdowns? And they said so-and-so with 7. I couldn't remember. I was like, oh, well, that sucks. I'm probably not going to get most touchdowns then. And they go, well, he's also going into the last round as for top table. So if he wins, then he can't get most touchdowns because of share of the wealth. I was like, okay, so there's a chance. And I knew that I had like 1 more touchdown than anyone else. Some other people had 4. So going into the last round, I go up against Denizens with Galart. And we're playing on a really cool 3D printed pitch. He's got 3D printed sidelines and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he likes to record his own games. And I think he does a YouTube channel where he does commentary over them. He was going to reach out to me and has not as of yet to give a shout out. So I don't know how to find his YouTube channel, but maybe if you Google SoCal Scramble, you might be able to find it. I don't know. Paul was his name. Real nice guy. Basically started the game, and first action Glart's skull skulled. And then I went in and picked up the ball and scored on turn 2. And he had no better luck. I won that game 6-0.
Wow.
I knew. I told him going in.
6-0.
I told him going in, I will let you beat up as many people as you want if you let me score as a joke. And he's like, haha, we laughed. And then I really went for it because I knew I just needed touchdowns. That's the only thing I could do. And Jordell's over here leaping like a madman, going into tackle zones and picking up the ball. I did use his once a game ability to good effect. So I was able to leap into like 2 tackle zones and hit him and then get the ball and then dodge out and just I was a madman flying through, flying around, just doing everything I had to. And yeah, I won 6-0. I don't we made a joke at one point because he's like I just want to get the ball to the other side of the midline. He did not. To the ball kind of went to the middle, and I knocked the people around, and then picked up the ball, handed off to a thrower who threw to my catcher, and then I scored the next turn. So
Wow.
it was insane.
Well, sir, who got beat 6-0, thank you, because you make me getting beat by Colin Murphy at last year's Chaos Cup 5-0 feel
He
not much any better. Never mind.
he
It
took
still
it.
sucks.
He took it great, but here's the thing too: is like, I don't have a whole lot of rerolls. I used one the first half, and I think I used one the second half, and I got a free one the second half.
Just one of those games.
God, insane. And I was even out casualtying him, which shouldn't happen. But yeah,
Right.
everything went my way. So with that 6, and the guy who had most touchdowns scored 3, he did end up winning, but he only had 10, and I had 11. So I got most touchdowns rightfully.
Hmm.
Good
Well,
job, Steve. Congratulations. Really proud of you. Great work.
no, I'm looking at the stats to see if there was anything. I was trying to go back and see if I've gotten beat more than 5-0.
No,
Um,
no, you're right. Your past experiences are better than mine. That's fine.
no, no. When you told me this, I said, "Well, he told me he won 6-0, but surely that's a typo." And I'm not trying to make fun of this guy. Like
No, no, no.
to lose 6-0, like everything has to go bad for you.
And
And by the way, your trophy was a giant, big old fat trophy for us. So congratulations on
thank you.
that.
It is nice.
It
But
looks
no,
big. Is it as big as it looks?
it was on my small case. So it's
Okay.
6 inches. Um,
I mean,
no,
that's
and
pretty.
that's the thing
They
too
say that's
is,
average.
yeah, that's true. He really did have bad luck. Now he also was lower on players at some point,
So you
and
had to take chances, and they just
it just
worked
didn't
into it.
work. There's a couple of times, I think one of his failings, if I was going to point to something, is he didn't protect against an elf team because you put one ball carrier in the backfield, and I'm just going to get around your line and put pressure on it. So if you don't pick up the ball, or even if you do pick up the ball with your gutter runner, who has 2 strength, and I can hit you with my Blodge Blitzer, who has 3, I'm going to win those battles. I'm going to knock the ball out. I'm going to then pick it up and then going to score. So unfortunately, that just happened a lot. And like I said, he wasn't a bad player. A lot of it came down to bad luck, and I'll take that every day.
Okay.
After that, the whole group went to a really good Mexican place. It is got to find the Discord. Casa de Pico. Uh, it was really good. Nice to have true Mexican food because I'm not surrounded by that or anything, but it was good and really cool place. Got to hang out and just gab with the new players, and the whole group of people was awesome. No issues with anybody. Everyone had a ton of fun. One of the organizers dressed up as the wizard and came out and took photos and gave
That's
away
cool.
the awards. The wizard is an ongoing thing that they do. So every year he's going to have a different figure and a different thing. And as he goes along, he's going to get either weaker or different or change up how he does stuff. So that's really
Oh, that's kind
neat.
of cool. They're doing like a little storyline with it
Yeah,
all.
exactly. So that's awesome. Um, and then went back, went to, like I said, Balboa Park on Sunday. Walked around that. It was a really nice park. Went to a free art museum. Had a really great meal at a Prado really not fancy restaurant. Just got to walk around, see a lot of art exhibits and stuff. It was really neat. I had a great time. And then went to the airport and understood why people hate traveling. Because, uh, and here's the thing, I fly Frontier because it's cheap. That whole trip probably cost me $130 for the flight, if that.
Wow.
We're in the crappy terminal that has a ton of gates and a ton of people waiting. I thought I was just going to get in there and pull up to a nice restaurant and just have some snacks or a soda. No, it was completely packed, way too busy. Sat there and read and was on my phone. I was fine, but yeah, I can understand why people really don't like traveling like that. Unfortunately, my flight got back like at 11:30 at night, so I was tired. But it's life. Great time. I just being able to have privilege to travel and do this stuff. I love it. Could never complain about that. So,
Yeah.
I think to add to the fun of it all, one of my cards got compromised, so I'm still fighting with that.
Oh no.
Yeah. They're like, "Are you in California?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in California." "Did you spend $300 on this?" Wait, no. No, I did not. What? No, that's not me. "Well, you said you're in California." "I am in California." "Did you not buy this?" No, I do not.
Oh no. I
So,
hate that.
yeah, I'm sure it'll pull out fine. It's just, well, we have to go through the processes. It'll take a week to get this reviewed, and then if found in your favor, they'll come back on your card. Or like, okay, yeah, but I kind of need the money now, please.
Right.
Like, no, we can't do that. Okay. But other than that, great time. Huge shout out to Moon for putting me up. Big shout out to everyone who ran it. Had a great time.
That's cool. Well, I'm glad you got to go out there and to a different environment. You got to mark California off your list,
Sure did.
so
And I
you'll never
believe
see that
now,
state again.
if I, well, there's always the future. If
Just
I,
giving you a hard time.
oh, I know. But if I look at my map of states that I've played Blood Bowl in, because you can do a online map online. Where else would you do an online map?
Okay.
Now that oh crap, no. Once I hit Arizona, so after this weekend, I will have. Oh crap! No, I guess not. I thought I had coast to coast, but I don't.
Oh, okay.
Because Pennsylvania does not touch Virginia. So I need West Virginia to match that up. Dang it.
You're trying to get coast to coast. I get you. How many states you got marked off?
So right now, that
20?
was... No, not yet. I'm at 19 states, 20 if I include provinces of Canada.
Okay.
And then this weekend will be 20, and then Spike next weekend, etc., etc., etc.
All right. Well, slow but surely, you know.
Yep.
Well, cool. I'm glad you had a good time. I'm glad you have somebody that would put you up, because that always makes it it helps so much being able to go to tournaments when they're
Doesn't
cheaper
it?
like that.
Oh, and he picked
So,
me
yeah.
up from the airport and dropped me off, and just
That's cool.
much better than having to navigate all that myself. So
Well,
if you would like
and-
to host Kilowoggy at a local tournament to you, and it's a state that I have not played in, please let us know.
oh yeah, it helps if it's a state that he hasn't played in.
Of course.
That's about the only way you're going to get him to come to your state.
It's not true.
Because
going
he'll
to
never
Florida.
go back to Arizona after all this.
Maybe. We'll see. I like Tony.
know. I'm just giving you a hard time. Relax.
You're just jealous.
I'm really jealous of you.
Hey, well, let's wrap this up and go to shoutouts.
All right, let's do it.
And with that cough, you know Scott is ready for the final part of the show.
Shout out!
Gotta love it when the actual machine itself is like, nope, not taking that high part.
Oh, I didn't even get it, so I can
No, it got
shout
most of
outs.
it, but then it just like when the high part really hit in, it just zoop, shuts off.
Huh?
So it's good enough.
It doesn't like me.
No. Does
That's
anybody?
okay. I always wonder that. I did it again. Left
Everybody
the
loves you.
tournament at Lubbock, and I was like, I bet nobody there likes me, except for Gary because he has to.
Uh, so speaking of, let's go ahead and first give a big shout out to GW. And I think we are required to say that we are being given the models and stuff. We're very clear about that. Does not influence us in any way. You know, we're just happy to have them. And then shout out to all the guys in California, especially Moon, again, for putting me up, running a great tournament, having a great time, and just hanging out. Hopefully, be seeing at least one of them again next year at possibly a Mexican tournament. We shall see.
Oh, nice.
Just thoughts.
You know, Speaking of those shout outs, I guess I should go ahead and shout out John Spurgeon, who put on the Lubbock tournament
Absolutely.
with his co-partner Dustin Parsons, who doesn't play Blood Bowl anymore, yet he'll still support and even supports this tournament, paints teams. I forgot to mention, so I'll do it here in the shout outs. At the tournament I was at, there was 18 players. We had a couple of guys dropped after one round because they had, I think they were in the marching band or something for the university, is what I was told. They had so many items at the end. So how he runs his tournament in Lubbock is everybody gets a ticket in the hat. And then if for every loss you get another ticket in the hat. So you can, at the end of the day, you can have a better chance of getting first pick of the prizes.
Mm-hmm.
They had so many cool prizes that 5 people, after it was all said and done, they threw all the names back in the hat, and drawed 5 more people. I didn't mention this, but there was a painted necro team that Gary wanted really bad, so I won it technically, and I let Gary take it because I said if you get pulled out, you pick something for me. And he was happy about that. And I got a gnome pitch out of it because when it came to Gary's turn to pick, he goes, "What do you want up here?" And I said, "I'll take the gnome pitch." So those are the type of items. And Gary must have picked maybe 11th or something like that.
Jeez.
So that just shows you like there was some good quality items. Like
They always have great stuff, yeah.
I don't know how they make money at that tournament at all because the items out there are always wonderful. So big shout out to those guys for putting together a tournament. Ran smooth. The store was really nice to us, and they had a lot of good product. And I think it's because of the store. I think the store hooks them up with some good deals. But anyways, shout out to Stormcrow Games, John Spurgeon, Dustin Parsons.
See.
What else you got?
I did want to give a shout out to Grebo. They have their newest and one of the most unique Kickstarters out there that I've seen in a while. And it's one of these that you either are going to love or you're going to hate. And I kind of love it. It's the Plexi Bowl. Have you seen those? The plastic teams.
Yeah, they're just like see-through
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah, they're really cool. It
How
just
about
launched.
this? I like the idea of them. I don't know the cost, so they might be cheaper. I don't know.
Oh, well, you can
Um,
get them for like $20 a team or so. I
I
guess
like the
25.
idea for like at home play.
Yeah.
I don't personally want to face off against them at a tournament.
Well, they're easily recognizable, but it is, $25 for a full 16 model team, so that's really cool. And they just launched today about I don't know how many hours ago. Anyways, already 164 backers and they
Nice.
wanted 2200 and they've got that times 10. So they've got 22,000.
Wow. Well, they're doing all right then.
They have, which I think is amazing, an all-in option. Entire selection of all 29 existing teams with full rosters. $500. With all the extras. All the extra stuff they're doing. Carrying case, extra bands for home and away, a pitch. I think they look really cool. I think they're a great idea for traveling,
This is
teaching new
it,
people.
what do you have to search to find this? Plexi Bowl?
Plexi Bowl. Plexibowl.
All one word?
Yep. You could probably just look up Grebo too,
Is
because
this on
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter, right?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find them. Okay, it is all one word by adding Grebo in there. I mean, I do think they look cool. I'm not, and they are cheap for people who cannot afford a $60 team and then get them painted.
Mhm.
This solves that problem. Or if you have kids at home that just want to play, I get it.
Would you have any issue allowing them in a tournament since technically they're not 3 colors? To me,
I've already said I don't really want to see them at a tournament.
to me,
I know that
they're
sounds
positionally
crappy.
correct and they'd be numbered. So
I mean, they have these little colored rims, so you could put your positionals and make them
Mhm.
really obvious. You're asking my opinion, and I think this is a cool idea. I personally don't want to play against a team like this at a tournament. I'm not going to be mad at somebody, but at the same time, doesn't feel ideal. But I also don't want to play teams that have terrible team names, and that's like most of the Blood Bowl teams anymore. So
that is true. You don't always get what you want.
I don't always get what I want. I mean, I think this purple one's cool, but I like purple. So, but are they they're offering a pitch as well? I
Yeah.
see. So, but yeah, they give you plenty of options, and like I said, a lot of little things. For it looks like the bases are clearly marked with like Slayer, Blitzer,
Mhm.
Runner, and stuff on there too. So, I mean, good on them.
I think they'd work fine for a tournament. I think if we had them, I wouldn't say no. As long as they're numbered, they are the correct positionals.
I mean, the next step though is somebody getting little pictures from like Fumble and then just putting them on cardboard,
Yeah.
and which is not far off. So
No,
that's
I mean, if someone wanted to play first edition standees, I don't care as long as it's clear.
I would, but we don't have to get into that.
Topic for next time.
But good on them. Yeah, I see they made a lot of money with 9
Yeah.
days to go.
Some people
So-
are really in love with it. So,
I mean, it's a cheap way to get all the teams, right?
kind of, yeah. So for me, coming up, as I mentioned, I got Tucson this weekend, Spike the next weekend. What else do I have? Should know this by now. I do actually have a week off, which is nice. And then I go up to Underworld. We got Skull Cup 6 here in Colorado. And then I got Bison Bash in New Mexico, November 2nd. So if anyone is in New Mexico or surrounding areas. Week after that is Chaos Cup. Then I have another week off. And a new tournament up here in Colorado, about 30 minutes away from me where the new league is in Longmont, is Nuffles Giving on November 23rd, the Saturday before Thanksgiving. And everybody
Nice.
gets a free turkey.
Nice.
Little miniature turkey, not one to eat. But the cool thing about this one is we're holding it in a food hall. And I don't know if those are common other places, but there's a lot of them around here. It seems to be more of a up-and-coming thing in urban hipster type places. But it's a venue that has a whole bunch of seats with the common area and then 6 different food vendors inside, like restaurants.
Oh, that's really cool.
So we got a few tables reserved I had to pay for, and then throughout the whole tournament, we can just go to any of the places, get a drink, get a food, try different type of stuff. Should be a lot of fun.
That is really neat.
It is
Man,
also going to be the first time we've had limited number of players. I believe I am limited to 24 people. I need to go up there and put some pitches on the tables and see if I can't squeeze in some more people. But right now it's 24.
Man, you make your next couple weeks sound awesome. You're not going to see me at a tournament until Chaos Cup. but a couple things I want to say about Chaos Cup. My first tournament was Chaos Cup, as some people know if
Mine
you listen to this
too.
podcast.
Wow.
And same with Steve. If you take away the specialist tournaments, the sevens tournaments, the goofy online tournament that I was in that somehow has a NAF ranking because of fumble.
Hmm.
If you take that away, actual tabletop standard Blood Bowl tournaments, round 6 at Chaos Cup will be my 300th ranked Blood Bowl game.
Wow.
So it's kind of special to me that this all worked out where I could somehow get to 300 at Chaos Cup. Even though like my stats online show different because it counts the specialist, it counts the, sevens matchups and stuff like that. So
You know what?
say it again.
You know what?
What's that?
I just hit my 300th.
Oh, well, congratulations. That
This
should be a big
last
deal to you.
it is. I thought I was going to have to wait until Chaos Cup for it. But I was looking at
Well, that's no
something else.
surprise to me that you haven't hit it by now. Are you
Well,
sure that's taken away specialist games, sevens, and anything like that?
no, it's including any NAF game.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
not going into specifics because ugh,
I keep track of my games and kind of
same.
just like odd things I do, like, oh, I took this unique star player, or I tried to go for this award and I got it in a big spreadsheet.
Yeah,
And
same.
so I finally moved all my like specialist games, sevens games, and stuff like that to a separate page in my file. And this will make 300th games of either classic Blood Bowl ranking or the current state of Blood Bowl rankings. So, anyways, I thought it was a big deal to me.
I will
I will
have
say,
to look at my stuff and see because I haven't separated out like I've only played in the 1/7s tournament. This is NAF games. I've played other non-NAF tournaments. I don't know. Yeah,
anyways, it's just something to think about. I think it's cool. My 300th game.
it's awesome.
What I'm calling my 300th game is going to be played in round 6 at Chaos Cup. So I hope I have a really cool opponent. And of course, I hope I win. So if you play me, just kind of, take a dive. Maybe let me have some extra dodges on my players.
Yeah, that helps.
Speaking of this, I'm no longer going to. I teased that I was going to make this very clear on the podcast. If I'm playing somebody and they are doing one go for it to score, let's say, or a rush, and they have sure feet, I am no longer going to say it's okay that you roll both dice at the same time.
Why?
Roll each one individually. Because that's how it's meant to be. It doesn't say you have the option of putting 2 dice in your cup and rolling them.
Doesn't
Because
say do it one at a time.
Okay.
I mean, it kind of does, but
you feel no pressure at all that if I fail this if I roll double ones with 2 dice. You feel pressure if you roll one single dice 2 different times.
yeah. But how
So,
does that affect your game?
huh?
But how does what they're doing affect your game?
I'm just not going to let people do that. If it's okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say no. I need you to roll each dice separately.
Okay.
I've encountered it too much.
Weird
it
hill
feels,
to die on.
huh?
Weird hill to die on.
It's not a weird hill to die on. If somebody says I'm going to go rush and I roll 2 dice at the same time, you saying it feels the same as if I rolled a dice singly twice?
It doesn't feel the same, but it speeds things up. If someone had 2 sets of dice and one was armor and one for injury, and they rolled them both at the same time in a different color, cool. Whatever.
Okay. Well, it's only stands. I mean, that, of course, you're going to disagree with me because that's what you do.
No, I don't get it. It's a.
You also play with extra dodge. So we're going to just.
Look,
it
I like
is
to cheat.
amazing. I can tell you how great Ham was, and that might be the only thing you agree with me on.
Dude, we agree on a lot of stuff. I'm just not understanding how it matters.
So you're saying if I need to do a 1 die block against you and I have a reroll to tackle you, you're okay with me just rolling 2 dice saying
That's
no
a
matter
whole
what, I'm
different-
gonna use this rerolls.
Whole different. Well, if you say I'm absolutely using this reroll, yeah, whatever.
Come on, get out of here.
I don't see the issue.
You're wrong. Of course you don't. Of course you don't. How many people has done this to you?
I don't know. I don't keep track because it doesn't matter to me.
Because it hasn't happened to you.
I'm sure it's happened. It doesn't matter in the slightest.
It hasn't happened to you.
So dodging, I would say roll 1 at a time because you need to know if you need to use the dodge because you might have to dodge elsewhere. Yeah. But if you're going in for a touchdown, what? Okay.
Okay, but let's say I go, I promise I'm not using dodge anywhere else. I'm just going to roll both dice now. You're cool with that?
Yeah.
Wrong.
I just
They're single dice rolls.
okay.
You roll 1 at a time. I'm just saying, I don't want to fight anybody. I'm not dying on a hill. We can take the extra 3 seconds to pick up that 1 dice and re-roll it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
If you played me, I'm just kind of letting you know ahead of time.
If you
I don't have to like your fluff. I don't have to like any of that stuff, but come on.
I'll call the TO over. Can I do this? Yeah, I don't see why
Oh.
not.
If I was running the tournament, I'd tell people they can't do it either because it's stupid.
Okay.
That's a pet peeve lately at tournaments. And then the next pet peeve, why is it so hard for people to play with the dice that come at the tournament when the tournament TO asks you that?
Yes, there is that. Because people are stupid. That's really what it comes down to.
Oh, you're going to die on that hill?
Yeah. So, like, I did not use the block dice that I was provided this past weekend because they were not easily legible from a distance. And I have my regular black NAF dice that are very legible. So, but, the TOs even said, these are not the best. They need to be seen on a bright
Did they
thing.
tell you have to do it?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
So that wasn't a big deal.
But
I did use the D6 from the event, as I always do.
I do too.
If other people don't, I typically will remind them if I notice. And typically they fall into line. But I don't know. People are picky. They like to do their own stuff. And then they complain. This guy in the second round, he used his own dice and he destroyed me. And he said that he could change. I'm like, I don't care at this point.
I don't know.
The damage has been done.
All right. Well, pet peeves that only bother Scott and doesn't bother anybody else in this world. So,
If you two are bothered, let Scott know.
oh, they're going to paint you a team for free and fly you out somewhere for free. And then
No
give you
one's done
Wolverine, buy you Wolverine #1 for free at
No
the
one's
first
done that.
appearance of Captain Marvel from the 40s from Fawcett Comics. So,
If someone
Why
wants
not?
to do that, feel free. I'll take it.
So what I'm saying is I basically hate you, and we should just end this podcast because all we're doing now is ranting like 2 old men who are stuck at the same park bench together, and we can't feed the pigeons anymore.
Ah, you feed the pigeons with your left hand. You need to do it with your right hand.
Well, I ain't doing it.
Okay. We're going to go feed some pigeons.
All right, everybody. Nice to see you. Goodbye.
If you'd like to email Both Down, the email address is bothdownpodcasts@gmail.com. Or for more information, you can visit them at bothdown.com or at facebook.com/bothdown.
I love this city. It's a fact. It's the greatest city in the history of mankind. Discovered by the Germans in 1904, they named it San Diego, which of course in German means a whale's vagina.